July 23rd, 2025. It's about 8 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm going to do some grid work. So today, it's been a couple weeks since I've done this process, and it's been some interesting times. Really had to push myself hard, and I'll use the phrase man up a bunch. Living apart from the kids has proven to be more difficult than I thought it would be emotionally, but it's growth, right? It's growth for them and it's growth for us. And sometimes it's just these things we have to do. I've really been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, what are the challenges we have to face, and what is the pain that we have to grow through? How do we learn to love our experience more and love the life that we have to live, even when it's, painful, and, albeit this situation that I'm in is not the worst possible situation a person could be in, but still, we all hurt. We all have to kind of deal with these things, but I find that, dwelling on it's just like a habit of the mind, right? Or at least I do, I get locked in my thoughts, and I miss all the good stuff that is happening around me. So when I started to realize this behavioral pattern and, in me a couple years ago, I knew I wanted something to help me get out of that. And that's why I developed the grid work process. It's just meant to be an activity to help me contemplate in a direction that always feels better, to help me have triggers that remind me of the things that I love and remind me of the values in my life, and to get me to help me to honor those things and to embody them, and ultimately, for a moment, for a period of time, to change my mood, to change my attitude. And it can help to alleviate emotional pain, and it can also provide clarity and purpose, even, and understanding and compassion and empathy and all these kind of things as I kind of reflect down these paths. And so it's built on a premise that's, I feel like is pretty simple. I call it the jigsaw emotion principle, right? If negative emotion was like a missing jigsaw puzzle piece, right? If we think of negative emotion as like a vacuum and ask for something, typically when we're experiencing negative emotion, it's because we want something. So what is that piece that goes in there? So the idea is to build the jigsaw puzzle, right? And so as I'm going through this, if I'm feeling a negative emotion, I kind of just address what all the emotions are in the jigsaw complexity of my current state of being, what pieces are available to me. If it's a negative emotion, I consider that like a missing piece, or maybe a piece that's turned over backwards, right? I want to flip it over. I want to find that emotion that I'm asking for and move in that direction. And as I find each piece and I start to fill the puzzle out till I have all 25 pieces, it paints a picture of like my emotional landscape. And I want it to be a good picture, right? And as I find good things, it leads me to think more good thoughts. So just like with any puzzle, I have my little 4x4 grid, and I go around the edge. I do 12, and I go around the next ring in, which is 8 words, and then the next ring in, which is 4 words, and then finally the 25th word in the middle. So starting in the upper left corner of my grid today, I'll just kind of sit for a moment and allow myself some time to just feel my body. And What am I feeling in my body? Pay attention, wiggle my toes, wiggle my ankles, my knees, move my legs and hips a little, maybe my lower back. Just scan my body. And as I scan my body, I like to move the muscles in that area. Help me draw attention to them. So I might squeeze my shoulders, my fingertips, biceps, shoulders, roll my neck a little bit. Maybe yawn, stretch my jaw. Scratch my head. Just become aware of the sensations that are in my body. Are there any good sensations? Are there any bad ones? And I feel a little soreness, a little tiredness from work, but nothing too bad. Lately I felt proud of myself for working as hard as I've worked. I've really thrown myself into my work lately, and I think in a lot of ways went above and beyond, but at the same time, because so much is being demanded of not just me, but everybody at work, there's not a lot of gratitude when you go above and beyond and it's still not enough. So, that's left me kind of feeling a little perplexed. Growing through the relationship changes, in my marriage, that has been difficult. Being away from the kids has been difficult, and there's this little bit of loneliness and sadness. If I were to wrap all that up and say, what is this feeling that I'm having? I'd call it maybe tired or optimistic, though. There's a bit of resolve in there. But the one that, as I'm thinking about it, that really kind of stands out to me is simply hope. Hope is like a precursor to faith. And sometimes when you're having faith, you're doing it through hope, right? You believe, you might believe, for me, I believe I'm going the right direction, and I hope that things are going to work out well, and I hope that it's going to be an enjoyable experience, and I hope, right? It's kind of get into that wishing mode, right? Which is, you got to be careful with hope too, because it can make you feel like there are things that would be good, but perhaps you don't have them. And so even as I talk about it and I think about that word, hope, it doesn't feel quite exactly right. So I feel like I'm in the neighborhood, or hope is in the neighborhood of what it is I'm really feeling. Because for me, there is more faith underneath it. It's like a determination, a resolve, a commitment. And so maybe it's not just the precursor of faith I'm feeling, maybe it is faith itself. So I'll start with faith as my first word. And I write the word faith down. And I like to feel into each word as I write it down. What does faith mean to me? It's what I'm feeling right now, but can I honor that faith? Can I appreciate it or be grateful for it? And I think about other times I've had faith, and there's been a lot of times in my life where things were difficult, and all I had to get through was just faith, right? And it's that burning belief that everything is going to be okay, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's that, for me, it's that moment where everything may look wrong, but I know inside myself that I'm exactly where I need to be. There's a assuredness to it, a kind of, it's hard to use the word clarity, but it's just a knowing, right? It feels sure. And that faith feels good. And then I think about what rises up within me when I think about that faith, when I'm being thankful and appreciating faith. And the thought that comes up to me is every time I look back on my life and I think about where I had faith, I feel gratitude. And I think about the times where I held on against all odds and the outcome was good. And sure, maybe there's some times where I was holding on against all odds and it didn't work out, right? But it's interesting to me, I look at those times and when it doesn't work out, it never feels final. It always just feels like it hasn't worked out yet. The road may end up being longer than I thought, or we'll say like, the mountain higher or whatever, valley darker, or deeper, wider, whatever it may be. But faith to me is always like really recognized when you have your mountaintop experiences, when it all pays off. And so I feel gratitude. There. So I write the word gratitude down. And I just feel into gratitude. What does gratitude mean to me? To be thankful for something. I was thinking about this the other day, like, does gratitude require receiving, right? Are we only thankful when we receive something? I've heard gratitude referred to as the ultimate state of receiving because it's receiving with joy, receiving with thankfulness. But do you have to receive to feel gratitude? Can you witness something and feel gratitude? And I know I've witnessed things and been very thankful for them. And so I feel like gratitude also has this element of it of just acknowledging goodness. When someone does something nice for you and you say thank you, you're acknowledging their goodness. When you step outside and the weather is nice and you feel gratitude, you're acknowledging the goodness of the weather. So gratitude is about acknowledging goodness. And so if I want to feel into gratitude, then I think about what goodness can I acknowledge. And it can be simple things. I'm fortunate enough to be sitting here in a comfortable spot, and I've got some music I like playing in the background. And I worked a long day, but I got off at enough time to take the time to do this. And through my hard work and effort, I have found a lot of opportunities and I've had a lot of adventures in my life, and I don't even think I'm nearly done, that there's more adventure to be had. And so I can feel gratitude for all of those things. So as I kind of sit with that gratitude and I think about it, I feel into what rises up, right? Because this is what's interesting to me. And I don't know if this happens for everybody, but when I really lean into these feelings, I find another feeling always rises up to meet it. Something else turns on and kind of comes alive. And that next thing that rises up for me, I feel is like a little sense of excitement, not overwhelming, not like, jumping up and down and clapping, but just like optimism, like excitement, looking forward, having kind of a positive outlook. And I think excitement can exist on a scale, right? There can be a little bit of excitement. You can have a lot of excitement, but it's still excitement, and it feels good to be excited. And so I think about that. When have I felt excited in my life? And oh man, if I'm really honest with myself, like there's been so many times I've felt massive amounts of excitement in my life, before my kids were born, when they were born, as they grew up, getting promotions and, being successful at things, good things happening, and being able to see that good thing coming and realizing like, yeah, it's coming. That's exciting. It's positive anticipation, right? Knowing that something good is coming your way. So I write the word excitement. And so here, like, I'm going to take a little pause for a moment, and I'll pause the recording, go get a drink of water, maybe walk around a bit, and I'll just kind of think on excitement. Like, it feels good. And so I'll just spend some time with it and let it be part of my experience. And just appreciate it. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, now I'm back and continuing on. So, as I was thinking about excitement, what came up for me was a feeling of fun. It's fun to be excited. And I feel myself now kind of stepping into a flow state where it's kind of I've broken out of the mood that I was in already, just 3 steps, right? And now I'm having fun. And I start to move a little faster through the grid, right? My mind connects to these feelings faster. I think about all the times I have fun playing video games and all this kind of stuff, but it almost instantly the next word comes up for me that goes with fun, and that's playful. I feel playful. And as I think about being playful and laughing and the joy that comes with it, joy is right there. There's the next word, joy. And for me, the word that comes up next from joy is simply ease, right? When I feel joy, I feel like a state of restfulness, like there's no struggle. It's just ease. Things are flowing, moving. And the next word that came up for me is fascinating. It's fascinating to me that you can find joy with ease. That makes me think about like the moment when you learn something, you realize something, that like aha moment, is that enlightenment. What's the word for that? Awareness, awakeness, revelation. I like the word discovery. It's like when you find something, like you're looking for treasure and aha, you found it. Or like a scientist, and they're researching something and experimenting and trying something, and finally it works. They call it a discovery. That discovery moment. I think that sometimes we find that in love, when we discover that the other person loves us, or, the first kiss, the discovery of it. Discovery has a newness to it, a feeling of success. I really like the word discovery. I think about that discovery, and the next word that comes up for me is beautiful. Because it makes me think about the world, the universe that we live in, and how beautiful it is. Green trees and tall mountains, running rivers, blue oceans, all wrapped on the surface of this planet, floating in a universe of, literally unimaginable wonder. Not unimaginable, we can imagine a good part of it, but it's more than imaginable universe. There's more than we can imagine. All around us already, waiting to be discovered. I think that's fascinating, exciting. It makes me think about adventure and exploration. So I write the word adventure because adventure is like in search of the discovery, right? The quest, the mission, the purpose. And where this brings me back around to on my grid is I have one space, the 12th word on the outer edge remaining, and it is the space now between adventure, the word I just wrote down, and the first word I wrote down, which was faith. And now I start to shift the way that I find my words in my grid, and I start to think about faith and adventure together. What connects faith and adventure? If faith and adventure were occurring at the same time, what would that feel like? And so it's like a puzzle I put to myself now, right? Okay, I'm feeling faith and having it on an adventure. And now this can interestingly provide a whole new perspective to the moment that I'm in, because I took this job and I came here on faith, and it is definitely an adventure. Like sometimes it's scary, and sometimes, there's challenges and battles to fight. I feel like I'm living daily in a movie, it's wild and dramatic and, epic in its own way, right? I'm living through like an epic saga of my life, an unfolding chapter, and it is an adventure, and it is faith. And so what do I feel in it, And I ask myself a lot of times, what I've been feeling is fear and, disappointment and heartbreak. It's so interesting, right, that I feel disappointment because I am having an adventure, but, sometimes change, most of the time, or actually I guess you could say always, change comes with loss. Anything that's changing, something that is not anymore. And so there's growth, right? And we all have growing pains. But growth is a word that can allow a little pain to be in it. Like when you go and you work out, you lift weights, Afterwards it hurts, but that hurt feels good because that hurt is growth. So that's the word I'm going to put in there, is growth. And then as I step into the inner ring of my grid, now I'll use the words on the outside to help me find the word in the middle. So I have growth and faith, and the next word that was on my grid was gratitude. So if I think about how faith and growth work together, faith is the believing, the knowing, growth is the experience of having it, and gratitude is witnessing the goodness of it. The word that jumps into my mind really quickly is just respect. Having a sense of respect for faith and growth, and knowing that it's powerful. These are powerful forces. And if treated well, they will treat you well. I think that's what respect is about. Knowing that if you treat something well, it will treat you well, or if you treat it poorly, it'll treat you poorly too. Respecting kind of the environment, the world around you. And that brings me down next to the space between gratitude and excitement. I think about what if gratitude and excitement were happening at the same time? That means that I would be appreciating the goodness of what's coming. Being thankful for what is ahead of me, what I don't even have yet. And I like to think of that state as appreciation. To see the value in the future and know that it's coming. And the next space in between is excitement, fun, and playful. And this feels lighthearted. It feels almost silly and giggling, tickled, right? What is that feeling when you get tickled? You're just laughing, right? Humor, joy, exuberant kind of outbursts that we make audibly. We call it laughing. It's just weird chuckling noises. Laugh, in comfort, and laugh in joy. It's as I'm thinking of it, right? The word that keeps coming up for me is satisfaction. Just feeling really satisfied. And the next space I look into is in between playful and joy. And the word I feel is love. Because I feel like that is a moment full of love, being playful and joyful and just full of good things. And the next space I look into is between joy, ease, and fascinating. The word that comes up for me is confident. And in between fascinating and discovery, I feel like awe-inspiring, right? So maybe I could say awesome. But I think I like the word inspired. And then the space between discovery beautiful, and adventure. The word that wants to come up for me that I feel there is enthusiasm. I feel enthusiastic, motivated. And then the space between growth and adventure. That challenge, that quest, that heroic moment to get to overcome and succeed, be victorious. You know, whenever it feels like you've really accomplished something major, I think it's a very appropriate feeling to feel proud of that. And so I'll write the word proud. And that brings me into the next portion of my rings. The final 4 words before the last center word. So I'll take another little break here and come back and finish those 5 words. Okay, now I'm back. So, I started a journey with faith and gratitude, excitement, fun, playful, joy, ease, fascinating, discovery, beautiful, adventure, growth, respect, appreciation, satisfaction, love, confident, inspired, enthusiasm, and proud. And I felt into each of those things, 20 words. Now, I go in for the last 5. And the next 4, I like to think of as pillars, right? And the first of the next 4 will be the space between proud, respect, and appreciation. What does it mean to feel those 3 things together? To feel proud, to feel respect, and to feel appreciation. And the word that comes up for me is honor. They're all things worthy of being honored in our life and giving honor. Being proud of ourselves, being proud of other people. It's honoring ourselves and honoring other people, and respecting ourselves and respecting other people. That's honor. And appreciating ourselves and appreciating other people. It's all honor. And the next 3 words are appreciation, satisfaction, and love. What are these words? What do they have in common? What does it mean, to appreciate another and to appreciate ourselves? It is, as I just said, honor, but what about to be satisfied with ourselves and to be satisfied with other people? To love ourselves and to love other people. What is that feeling? What are those things? Appreciation, satisfaction, and love. And I feel like a rightness, like a comfort, like a belongingness. And I often thought, what is the feeling of belonging or belongingness? How do you say that? How do you express that? And the closest thing I could find that really felt like it nailed the emotion for me was feeling welcome. Welcoming things in and being welcomed. And so appreciation would be welcoming something. You would welcome something you appreciate. And someone you appreciated, you would welcome them. If they appreciated you, you would be welcome. Satisfaction, again, welcome. Love, welcome. So to me, those words are welcome. And the next 3 words I'll use are love, confident, and inspired. And this has that feeling kind of associated to growth and respect. It's carrying the emotion and the vibration of everything that has been talked about through this process. Love, confidence, and inspired. It's like that drive, that just knowing that you're going and feeling unhindered. Feels like freedom to me. So I'll write the word freedom down. The next three words are inspired, enthusiasm, and proud. Inspired, enthusiasm, proud. Inspired by something that you think is great, proud of something that was great, and enthusiasm is greatness. So maybe for me that word is just greatness, the feeling of greatness. To do something great, something really good, something that just makes you proud, something you're enthusiastic about, inspired by. That's greatness, not greatness like being famous, but the greatness of something being truly great, really good, so good that it has become great to you. Like that's the greatness that I'm thinking of. And so for the final word, now I have 4 words that surround this space: honor, welcome, freedom, and greatness. So I like to just let myself really lean into these words. I'll say them over and over again. And every time I say them, I'll imagine the feeling associated with that, the feeling associated with honor, the feeling associated with greatness, and with the feeling of being welcome and freedom. You know, being welcome in a place where you're free. Welcoming in the greatness of something, or being the greatness that is welcome and honoring that welcomeness. Being free to be great and free to honor, and honoring freedom and greatness, and the greatness of honor being welcome and freeness. And for me, it's a word at the center. I'm led to this word often, and I'm not saying that it's the only word or it has to be the right word for everybody, but it's the word that comes up in the center of my grid a lot. And it's simply harmony. Everything is in its place. The instruments are all playing together. There's coherence in my emotional state. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not stressed. I know there's greatness in the world. I know I'm welcome. I know I'm free, and I honor all of that. And it brings me into a state of harmony, of peace and happiness, gratitude and satisfaction, all these words. And to read them again, from faith to harmony: faith, gratitude, excitement, fun, playful, joy, ease, fascinating, discovery, beautiful, adventure, growth, respect, appreciation, satisfaction, love, confidence, inspiration, enthusiasm, proud, honorable, welcome, freedom, greatness, and harmony. And so that's why I love this process. It's been about 30 or 40 minutes total, that I've actually been doing this, and I feel a deep sense of clarity. Like, I feel a stronger connection to the things that give me strength. The challenges and emotional difficulties I face feel much smaller. I feel like I can look around me and see things and see them and paint them in my mind with more beautiful colors and realize that everything that's going on around me is part of a story where the outcome is going to be what I want the outcome to be, and that allows my mind and my body to rest. The ache that was in my muscles starts to melt away, or has already started to melt away. The negative thoughts that were plaguing my mind all day, they're quiet. I could go pick them up if I want, but I don't need to. I don't want to. So now I just think about, what do I want to do tonight? And what would feel good or have fun or be casual? I might go watch some TV. I could play a video game. I might just contemplate on this grid and think about it. I might listen to music. I could cook a meal. I could do whatever I want. So I have that freedom, and it's welcome for me. And I can make this moment as great as I want to by simply honoring it and letting those things be in harmony, and let harmony be in me. So me in harmony and harmony in me. Seeing the world in harmony and seeing harmony in the world and in the universe. And that's my journey. I hope you enjoyed listening in and sharing these moments with me. Thank you, and until next time.